Welcome everybody. We're here today with Matt Seabrook, the principal of Ray White in the North, an award-winning property consultant and business owner. He's demonstrated a history of working in the real estate industry. He's skilled at budgeting, sales, real estate transactions, investment properties, and working with first-time home buyers. He's a strong negotiator and a big thinker. And the reason why we've got him in here today is because the real estate industry is currently experiencing very similar things to the travel industry. And Matt is all about how do you maintain your business so you can still be productive on the other side of this tough economic time. He's going to talk to us today about how do you communicate with your customer during this time, and also what kind of communication do you need to give to your team so we can take those concepts and apply it into our travel agencies over these coming months during the coronavirus. Matt, welcome today.
Thanks for having me.
Great, it's great to have you. Our audience pretty much, Matt, is small business owners owning travel agencies or travel agents that are either sole traders or working within a travel agency. And they're in a really tough time. They're in a time now where the demand is extremely low for the product and service they're selling, to zero really for many of the agencies out there. And I just want to talk to you, maybe start with how do you best communicate with your customers when you're in that position, and maybe give us a bit of an insight also to where the real estate industry is and the comparisons as well.
Well, I think it's a good point. I really feel for you guys. I guess that we're probably 2 or 3 weeks behind you, maybe a month behind your situation, but we're heading the same way with the lockdowns coming ahead. I guess our communication, obviously, we have to look in long term. So we're looking at really how we're communicating with people now, so that when this thing blows over, whether that be 3, 4, 6 months, or heaven forbid, a year or longer, we pop out the other end with a reputation and a client base that is good enough to get us back into action at that point there.
And obviously, given the restrictions now on how we can communicate to our customers, naturally, ideally you'd be wanting to communicate face to face, but how does your marketing change in a climate like this? What are you budgeting for? All those sort of things. What's the plan look like for you guys heading into this period?
Look, really good question. And I guess to give people a bit of a idea of scope, my little sales team, not the business itself, my little team will spend $80,000 or $90,000 a year on marketing for our local area. So it sort of gives you a bit of an idea of budget. Now, I guess that marketing we do is split over 12 different levels of a marketing plan, starting with things that cost you very little in money but cost you in time, like, for instance, cold call prospecting, warm call prospecting, door knocking, those sort of things. And then move through things that cost you less time and a little bit of money, like social media, email marketing, those sort of things, right up some very high cost items like letter dropping, local paper, bus shelters, all those sort of things. So I suppose from our point of view, we've done 2 things. We've pivoted the message that we're sending, and we've pulled back on some of those costs. Now, I guess when things have been going well, and for us up until about 3 weeks ago, things were still going quite well, our time was worth quite a lot. So to invest physical money in the marketing was the cheaper alternative. Now, of course, money hasn't really changed in expense, but our time's got a lot cheaper from the point of view that we can't do much else with our time. I'm sure similar to the situation you're facing there. So we've pivoted in a sense that we've kept some of our baseline on the street marketing, like bus shelters and a few of those things that we're engaged in as a matter of course. But we pulled back on a lot of that discretionary spending on letter dropping, local paper, those sort of things that cost us quite a lot. And we're back now to leveraging off our time doing things like phone calls, sending emails, those sort of things, updating social media, that sort of thing there. Now, I guess that's the change in the material aspect of what we're doing marketing wise. But as far as the message, that's changed too, because from the point of view of social responsibility, we have a job to sell houses. What we do, we get paid by clients to do that job. Now, we're still here to solve that problem for clients if they need to sell, and we'll keep fighting tooth and nail, cautiously, of course, and within the rules and the guidelines, to try and sell their home and solve that problem for them. But our message out through phone calls and through social media has pivoted to really a welfare call. How are you doing? Can we be of any help? And also reminding that, look, we're not one of the agencies that's going to throw their hands up in the air and give up. We're going to be here when this thing comes out the other end, whether that be a month, 2 months, or 6 months, and give you that certainty that if you need a problem solved at any point through that, we will be here.
Yeah, that's an interesting point then, scaling back on the necessities that you have, and I suppose of your marketing plan, but in terms of time, reducing the costly marketing activities, because now your time is cheaper, you have the time to spend on that. I think that's a really important concept for our travel agents and agency owners out there. Use your time on the things that will engage with your customers, but be cheap to do so. Yeah, no, that's.
I guess time we have now, right? But in a sense,
right.
I don't know. Obviously, around the world, you'll be at different levels of lockdown. Our little part of the world in Australia, our lockdown is currently you can't go to work, but you can still go outside and do things. I believe our next level of lockdown will be coming pretty shortly, where we're really not allowed to leave the house except for essential tasks. Now, obviously, what do you have if that's the case? You've got internet, fortunately, still. You've got telephones, and you've got time. So to me, there's never an excuse to stop progressing your business, keeping in mind the frustration, of course, it's not going the way you would like, but keep in mind as well that we're all in the same boat here. It's not a regional thing, it's international. So use what you have at the moment, which is basically free, which is your time. And I think, look, keep at it. Even if it's only at 20% pace, keep at it so that you're visible to those clients.
Because the risk is, I suppose, if you stop communicating, and I think especially for travel agents, travel industry, because there are so many companies going under, that your clients may think you have gone under. And I suppose that gets to my next question. What are some of the things, what are some of the ways you could lose your clients over this period if you're not careful?
Well, I think there's a couple of ways of losing clients. There's doing nothing, which means your clients by attrition will start to forget about you and wander off to different suppliers. Now, whether the market is warm, cold, or hot, that's going to happen anyway if you're not working, as we well know. But I guess you can do some pretty catastrophic things wrong right now to really lose your client. I think part of that is not even not communicating, but communicating poorly or maybe selfishly. What people don't want to see you doing right now is selling your latest weight reduction tea mix. When you've got people who can't find toilet paper or food to keep their households going. So I think that to make sure that clients don't switch off from you in disgust, you need to make sure that your message is reiterated that not only are you here to do a job, and of course you get paid for that job, but you do actually care too, and we do. Even if you might think yourself quite selfish, I think the fact that we provide a service like we do means we do care, and most of us, I hope, underneath making a living, are doing what we do because we enjoy helping people.
No, I totally agree. And with these strategies that you're planning to implement and implementing now, I'm sure some of these are happening. What's the underlying thought process? What's the foundational thought process that these strategies stem from that's helping guide what you do?
Look, I guess the fundamental one is that we want to still be here in 6 months or 12 months' time to carry on business for ourselves and to be here to help people. All of our planning, I suppose, is with that in mind. And if you're not planning that way, I think you're in for a rude shock, because there'll be a huge number of businesses, and I'm sure I can believe it's even worse in the travel industry than when we are, due to probably restructuring that was ongoing anyway. But a lot of people won't be here in 6 months' time. They won't be here in 3 months' time. So our planning is not about when do we give up. Our planning is how do we make sure we have a business and then expand, do the job, and bring staff back on when we pop out the other side.
Yes. And so then probably leads me into my next question. Let's flip our perspective on the situation. What's the opportunity here for a travel agency owner in this particular time when everyone's so doom and gloom? What is the opportunity that they can seize on?
Well, that's a great question. And I can give you the answer there quite simply. I'll give you a bit of a story. So from the point of view of my business over nearly 10 years in the real estate game, I always have a larger market share of business when the market is tough, because of course anyone with a hat on can sell a house when the market is hot. It takes a practitioner to do the job when the market's tough. And look, similar, I'm sure, in travel. When people are booking holidays hand over fist because there's money everywhere, you just got to have a door open and you'll do business. When that isn't the case, it's those who go a little bit further that will do business. So the opportunity for me here is probably not even now. Now is not an opportunity time. Now is a reaction time. Obviously, every 24-hour period goes past, the rules change. So we're reacting to the rules changing, And as business owners, as fast as we can, we're restructuring to make sure that they don't affect us too adversely. The opportunity, to my mind, is probably 3 or 6 months away, when so many of your competitors have just given up and walked away. Then you're left standing. So your opportunity to get a larger market share of the business at that point is huge.
Yes, yeah, to survive. That's a really good point. So when we come out at the other end of this, and there's half your competitors are closed, you have an opportunity for a larger share of the market. I'm interested. We'll go back to part of that answer there was about reacting now. We're in the reaction time. Any tips around being able to do that well, be able to do that productively, and when things change, what's your process so the actions you take are actually the best or have a positive effect?
Look, I suppose first of all, you have to be almost preempting what's going to happen, right? And let's face it, if you're watching, you can almost guess what's going to happen tomorrow. You can guess what's going to happen Friday. So you're trying to not only react, but you're trying to preempt what's going to happen. And the minute it has happened, you react firmly. Your actions in this kind of market have to be firm, they have to be calculating, and they have to be sometimes a bit hard. Again, some of the conversations we're having with staff, and now we have great staff, really good people, is, look guys, fortunately the government is providing a lot of safety net here, some really good incentives to keep you fed and keep you in your home. It's going to be a better situation for us to let you go sharply now so that you can take advantage of that and sort of make sure your life's in a situation where you can bear the next 6 months, so that we're still here the minute things pick up to have you all back on board with great excitement and get back into it. If you're making wishy-washy decisions at the moment, this is when you will fail. You need to take advantage of everything the government's offering, anything you can do to cut costs. You've got to make decisions quickly so that you're protected to be here at the other end.
Yes, and I think that's a really, really good point. When we go all the way back to you saying, look, the goal here is to get to the other end, and knowing that that is your goal, then your decisions can be made quickly and decisively, knowing that that's where you're heading. And I think possibly a lot of the business owners at the moment are still in reaction without some sort of end goal that they're looking at to help direct their actions now. And you just mentioned the team side of it. They're talking to the team, because I was going to say that, what do you do about team morale now? Like, what approach do you take with team members in regards to this situation?
Team morale is a tricky thing, right? Often you can trick yourself into thinking you're doing the right thing by keeping the bad news away. Okay. The problem is that one of the biggest things that give people fear is uncertainty more than an actual. As we know, you get very nervous about going to do some public speaking, but once you're there and you do it, it's not as bad as you thought it was going to be. So I think that you'll be doing the wrong thing if you're giving your staff false hope. Nobody wants to let staff go. And in fact, hopefully you're hiring people that you like having around, do a great job, so they're an asset to you. But I think as far as staff morale goes, at the moment you have to be positive where there's positive, and when there's good things to be achieved, when you can still achieve goals, you be positive and you charge towards those goals. If it comes a time where you think that unfortunately the status quo is not going to be able to be held and that you have to let people go, it needs to be done firmly and gently and with a long-term plan in mind. Tell them what's going to happen later. Look guys, we're doing this now so that later we can recover and you can all be back here. Tell them it'll be all right, it'll be all right, it'll be all right. Then next day tell them they're fired. That any kind of plan or help, I think, is a way of destroying morale completely. As well as that too, as a business owner, you've got to keep in mind that you're probably aware of, or you have information that's available to you that they either don't have or don't have the capacity to go and find. So part of this conversation too is, look guys, just so you know, here are the options for you. Here's what's available out there. Here's what you can do to make sure that you're helping them into that transition at the same time, rather than just cutting them loose and hoping they'll find the way through the forest by themselves. Yeah,
no, I think that's a really good point as well, because I think some business owners out there as well are hesitant to make that call, or they shy away from the confrontational side of it, but taking the perspective of, hey, this is actually needed right now, for not just for the business now to survive, but for there to be a business to rehire these people at the other end of this tough economic time when we come out of it. I think that adds, while it's a tough decision, it also adds a positive perspective to say, look, the reason why we do this now is so we can be here for you when we bounce back and we can rehire you and then we can move
I
forward.
think it's a different thing. Like for me, I hate firing people. Everybody does. In the end, again, like I said, you've hired these people because you want them to be here, and it hurts. But I have less trouble at this stage having those conversations than I do in a normal situation where someone's just not doing the job well enough. Because, like, I could probably keep them on. They're nice people. That's a harder conversation than now, where I'm like, guys, the absolute necessity right now is for this to happen. If it doesn't happen, the business is gone, and you have no job anyway. So have that conversation in confidence, knowing that you are doing this not so you make more money. There's no money to be made right now. We're going to have no jobs either pretty shortly. But you're doing it so that when your responsibility as like a parent, as a business owner, so that when things do pick up, you're still here and they can come back, as opposed to letting the business destroy itself and there's no job for anyone later on.
That's a very good point. Have you got any plans for the staff that you have let go during this period? Any plans of communicating with them during this period at all, or
those plans, as I say, take sort of, I guess, take shape day by day, not knowing exactly what's going to happen. And for us, obviously, in real estate, this next Saturday coming up is a very big tester for us. We haven't done a lot of restructuring just yet. Saturday coming will tell us what we have to do. That then, decisions we made as they need to. And then as far as communication from there on, it'll be a discussion with the staff first, what kind of communication do you want? And then, of course, we'll instigate checking in, even from a social responsibility point of view, more so than even as our staff and our friends.
It's a really good point in terms of social responsibility. I think it's probably also when not only helping your staff to seek out financial assistance from the government, but potentially giving them assistance on if they are struggling mentally with the situation. There are places out there in the community that they can talk to, professionals that they can talk to over this time, and maybe linking them up with someone, letting them know their options there as well, I think.
And letting them know they can call us anytime too. I mean, one of the responsibilities as a business owner you take on, and this is what makes a good business, and everyone in our business enjoys being there. It's a fun workplace, we chat, we joke. But part of that responsibility is that when things are tough, that you're there still. A bad boss dumps people when they're not getting something from them. A good boss, a good company fosters people even when there's no result to be had. And that comes right back to how you market to your clients. If you're marketing for a result every time, that's going to become a pretty short-term relationship. If you're marketing for a relationship and if a bit of business comes out of that as a matter of course, that's great. That's where real business is going to come from.
That's a fantastic point. Absolutely fantastic point that I think a lot of our viewers here can really take on. So lastly, to wrap this up, Matt, what are some of the key attributes that I need to have at the forefront now? Being a small business owner, I'm in a situation where I need to survive these times. I've got communication with my customer, communication with my team. What are some of the things that really need to come to the forefront now for me as a business owner?
Well, I think what comes out right now is, first of all, your ability to plan, as we all would hope to have as a business owner, and your ability to be decisive. I think first of all is planning. What's going to happen? So have a plan for this coming out of the woodwork in 3 months, have a plan for us recovering in 6 months, and have a plan for us if it takes 12 months. And that's the key thing. You've got to have those 3 levels of planning so that you can say, all right, well, this is what's required for each of those. Maybe there's a few different points where you make decisions. But then you have to be decisive. If it looks like you're going to have no business for the next 3 months, you must cut costs right now, fast as you can, hard as you can, whatever you have to do, even to the point of disconnecting the phone system if you have to and going back to mobile phones. You must cut costs as fast as you can. You must be decisive with your staff. Again, they'll hate you more for leading them on for 2 months longer than they will for making a firm decision now with a result for them at the end as well. That's important. Then you have to keep the system moving. So whether it relies on the 5 key staff that are left, or whether the last person is you must keep the system moving. You must be visible, do some marketing, whatever it takes, and however cheap it has to be visible. Otherwise, it's so much harder to get yourself started again when they've forgotten about you in a year's time.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think that's a fantastic, those are fantastic suggestions and a powerful way to wrap up what's been a very valuable interview with you, Matt. We really appreciate your time. I know our viewers take a lot out of your tips and your plan moving forward, seeing now that there's a lot of correlation between the situation now that the real estate industry and the travel industry and a lot of industries are facing now. But as a small business owner, what you've given us today, I think, is invaluable. Thank you so much, Matt.
I'm a very collaborative kind of person. So again, I've got time. If anyone needs to have a chat and talk a bit more about business, I'm very, very happy to have a chat with anyone if they need. Normally we'd say we'd go and have a coffee, but we probably can't do that at the moment. But if someone just wants to chat via Zoom, via the phone, please get in touch.
That's so generous. Are you happy for us to maybe put your email address on here on the video?
Sure. By all means.
Once again, very generous of you. Thank you so much for your time, Matt. We really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks very much.